Jack Butcher after 1975 regional.
And of course, I've already talked about David. I might say about David that, last night when Jasper putting some pressure on, Dave found himself underneath the basket and got the ball with a lot of time, and he did just exactly what I was thinking. Of course, I couldn't tell him anything. He was on the floor and I was on the bench, but I was saying, David, take your time, and that's exactly what he did. But it didn't go in the hole, and that was the one we were talking about a while ago.
Right.
That I think Manningly, or maybe a combination Manningly and Strange, tipped in, which, at that stage of the game is extremely important. In the pep rally last night, we called Dave out, and we let him shoot that lay-in again, and he executed it.
He made it, huh? Okay.
And then another fellow that has assumed his role too is Paul Hildebrand. Paul's about 6'4", and early in the year we probably had touted him as our first substitute in at center spot. He got ill, I'd say, midway through the season, and we just were never quite able to get him into ball games where he could get the game experience to carry us in to the tournament play and give us confidence in him, actually, to put him in. And but really since our talk on fast break, from about that time on, Paul started doing real well in practice. And if he continues that type of progress, I'm sure that he's going to be an important factor in our success next year. Another boy that doesn't get much notoriety and certainly not much playing time is Chris Birch. He's probably our 10th man, a junior. Pretty much has assumed the role that Bob Bell has assumed, and let's say from the standpoint of providing morale to the ball club, certainly he contributes in that respect. And a lot of times these guys, these 9th and 10th people, can be harmful, detrimental to the ball club in their attitude on the bench, their attitude in the dressing room, and this type of thing. And we don't have any of those kind of people on this ball club. The last two people would be Richard Bloodsaw, and of course Richard and the Taylor boy just started dressing full-time with the varsity during the latter part of the year. We'd alternated those last two spots all year long, and we think they're going to help us in the future.
Excuse me, Jack. Of course, the goal now for Lions is to review for Terre Haute North and to prepare for Terre Haute North. And just in a brief summation here in the couple of minutes that we have, how will you go about planning this week to try to bring your ball club out of the peaks and valleys and back on the earth for a few days, and it's another new tournament?
Well, this is one of the, I think, maybe the toughest thing in coaching, not to necessarily prepare for the next step as far as the coach is concerned, but to try to, as you say, keep the players' feet on the ground, keep them from getting too involved and too wrapped up with all of the carnival atmosphere that goes on, say, between sectional and regional, and now regional and semi-state. There is a lot of decorations downtown and a lot of activities in the school hallways, and I think the kids to a very large degree have to keep that type of situation in perspective and sort of keep their feet on the ground, and this is going to be one of our biggest jobs this week.
Fundamentally, Lagodi probably offensively will do what you like to see them do best if, Terre Haute North will allow you to do that, and the rest of it, I guess, will be preparing defensively for maybe some films that you might pick up along the way.
Well, we probably do like everybody else. We get out and talk to people and try to pick up some films or some videotapes, and from that then developing maybe our game strategy. Essentially, we like to shoot the ball too, but sometimes we have to do the things that we feel that would be most successful on the basketball floor. A few years ago, back in 1969, I think it was, we had a 5'8" guard, Joe Lekumsky, and about a 5'10" or 11" guard in Cecil Truelove. Canada was a freshman, about 6 foot. Sager was a sophomore, maybe 6'3", rather inexperienced, clumsy. And then we had a little bitty forward on the other side that had a lot of heart, but to be very frank, not much ability. Tony Walton, and we used this style of ball that we used in the regional, or at least last night's game, almost in every ball game. And that group of kids won 15 ball games. So, as I say, we will develop our strategy from what we can find out about Terre Haute and Seymour and those people this week.
I know you won't have too much to do this week, Jack. It'll be busy. I guess you're probably turning the ticket problems over to your able assistant, Tim.
No, Tim
is out of the ticket business?
He got out of that business a couple of
was that
years ago. I had it one year, and I just decided it was just too much to handle at that time in the season. So Tim took it over a couple of years, and he was going to handle it without any problems at all, and it didn't prove to be maybe too much for him too, because I felt, in spite of how he felt about it, I felt that I needed him in the gymnasium more than distributing tickets. And our Clark has been handling it, and I think doing a real good job the last couple of years. Although Ara has been handling, I still catch the criticism a great deal of the time from at least some of our more loyal backers.
Okay. Jack, we want to thank you and Tim for taking time out. I know a busy day, and one in which you like to relax, I'm sure, before the week starts again. And thanks again for coming down, and just a heck of a lot of success down at Roberts Stadium next week.
Thank you, Bob. Thanks, Bob.
That's our show for this afternoon. Our final Fast Break show will be coming up, actually we'll have two more. We'll have one next Sunday, and then